Hello, I'm Hank Hill.
Hey Hank, I'm Martin of Coffee Gasoline. So then I entered Kent Models build-off contest, the Mad Max one. You had to choose from 3 kits and I chose this Datsun truck. But obviously I wanted to make it into Hank's because, well, why the hell not? Don't need those. It's a decent enough kit, but a little bit basic in areas. Nice surfboard though.
That is ridiculous.
I know. I have to say, I am absolutely loving this buckshot knife. First time. So in this build-off contest, you're allowed to have different parts of different kits and some 3D printed bits. So I 3D printed some tank tracks from a Renault 5 kit on Thingiverse, downloaded some propane tanks because propane, and I downloaded a driver model and bought a Hank bust and combined the two for the Hank Hill driver. So at this point I'm just trying to kind of weigh up how the model feels. I wanted it to have a bit of rake like the old hot rods, and I was considering having the top open up, like the actual shell lift up like a Bigfoot style. And it's fair to say at this point that the audio kind of cut out during the editing process, so I've replaced it with some stuff. Completely seamless, I know, very difficult to tell. Now this is the original interior kit that came with the Datsun, which was fine, but, well, Hank didn't really fit. Bit of a junker. I tried him every which way I could. He just didn't fit. Datsun. I know, Hank. So I reckon he drives a Ford, so let's get rid of that Datsun.
Maybe, who knows? I don't know. I don't care. Whatever.
Much better. Yep. Now, I figured at this point I'm probably going to reuse the chassis from the Datsun kit, so just starting to clag everything together, you know? Because why the hell not?
My God, are you still talking?
Yeah, unfortunately. I know. It's annoying. I know. We'll get rid of it. Don't worry. So when you're working with a scalpel, please be careful. It's very easy to injure yourself. They are very sharp, and you can slip if you're putting too much weight behind it. Kind of like that, you know? Just be careful. I left that part of the D on there for reasons. Yep. Now let's enjoy some slow motion spray paint.
That is ridiculous.
I know, it is ridiculously good. Now it's fair to say I am very impatient, so, you know, heat gun, flashes of paint quick.
Now, that's not the right sort of attitude for you to have.
And since we're making noise, we're going to go ahead and just use the Dremel and the ball end bit to just put some gunshots in there. I kind of just scattered it, you know, randomly, but I didn't actually go through with the Dremel. I figured I would go through with the hot end, and that would pull some plastic back as well to make it look a little bit more sort of bulky, like the metal's sort of deformed around the gunshot wound. Just be careful when you're doing this to wear a mask, because, you know, you're burning plastic. It ain't going to be good in your lungs. So I've got some Pearl Silver here. We're going to go ahead and paint those fresh bits of white plastic. Just make it look a bit more metallic, really. You know, because it's metal or something. And we've got some blurry burnt umber here, which is excellent for sort of general weathering, but I'm using it as a rust base coat. So I've got a nice stipple brush here that I got from Kent Models as well. And yeah, we're just going to go in and dry brush on some dirty rust, because this is Mad Max era. We don't need no clean stuff here. Gotta be dirty, rusty, the way I like it. Then we'll get a washy brush, just like that. So there we go, we've got a base coat of the rust down and general dirt. Spinny. This is an old Warhammer kit that I had, given to me I think by my brother. I've never actually bought any Warhammer stuff, but I figured it was going to be good for greebles, and looky here, it's coming in handy finally after about 15 years. There's probably somebody screaming right now that I'm bastardizing a Warhammer kit for greebles, but hey, there we go. So again, I didn't really have much direction on this, I just kind of wanted to clag stuff together, see how it looked, and I quite liked the hatch idea and the hood scoop with that thing there. So I'm just going to lay down some base pearl silver just to make it look metallic, and I had a little bit left over, so I just hit the truck up with some bits of silver details. Washy brush. Good boy. And of course our friend Burnt Umber to the rescue here for some detailing with some dirt and rust. Just dry brushing it on all the bits here that I think I'm going to use. And just like that. Yep. Washy brush. Mr. Shaky Hand Man going in with some glue action here. This glue is about 10 years old, don't you know? Still works. Sort of. And a bit more shaky hand action there. Shaky, shaky. I always shake like this, by the way. Don't know what it is. Alright then, time for some black wash. This stuff's great. Just brings out all the little details. Now it's fair to say I am really heavy-handed with the weathering. I never really know when to stop, but I do like it to look grungy and grimy, so, you know, more is better. So I'm just slapping the black wash on nice and thick, and I'm actually kind of leaving it on there quite a while for it to dry into all the crevices. And just, yeah, make it darken down. Wrap him up in his little blankie. There we go. All nice and tight.
Son, have you lost your mind?
So you're just dabbing down the model, getting all the excess off there. As you can see, it kind of just holds the black wash into all the little details, and you can kind of be gentle with the dabbing if you want to leave some excess on there like I do. First of many passes. Looks aight. Off camera, I put some black acrylic on the underside just to darken everything down. You don't want any sort of highlights and stuff on the interior. And speaking of highlights, I'm just going in with a bit more pearl metallic here, just to really pop the edges, make it look like everything's worn and scratched, and just bring those highlights out. Just dry brushing everything I can, really. A bit more. And there we go. And there you go, there's a first pass of the dry brush for the highlights. Just gives a bit more of a metallic feel to everything. I had this interior left over from a Chevy Nova build when I was doing a death proof car, so I didn't end up using the interior, and it just so happens that the bench seat fits perfectly, and Hank's truck had a bench seat, so why the hell not use it? So confident that it fits, I'm just gluing it straight in. Hank, on the other hand, doesn't really fit. So, yeah, just gonna chop his legs off.
Now don't say that.
And as you can hear, that is pinging everywhere. It's really nasty stuff, this resin, so be careful if you're doing stuff like that. I have glasses on when I'm doing this anyway. Now I use really cheap black acrylic. I use really cheap acrylics anyway because they just do what I need them to do. And I'm just giving the entire interior a coat of black, which dries matte. And again, that's just gonna put a load of shadow work in there. And while we wait for that to dry, we're gonna mix up some skin tones for Hank here. Now, I am far from the best painter in the world, so please excuse my hashed together job on Hank's skin here. The skin tones do look a bit better in person, the camera doesn't really pick it up all that well. And I'm being pretty haphazard with me painting because again, I'm quite shaky. So I would prefer to go in and just, you know, do the details after.
Hello.
Gotta give him some eyes since I had the white paint left over. And just go in and, you know, touch up the glasses. And give him some pupils so he can see. And finally, just give him a nice bonnet hair, you know. Look at that. Fantastic. Stunning, Hank. Stunning.
Exactly. Ah!
It's time for it. Let's go.
Son, have you lost your mind?
I enjoyed that a bit too much. Yeah, so just give him a black wash just to bring out some of the details, but after I dabbed them down, wasn't quite happy with the details anyway, so I actually went in off camera and painted on some more sort of cartoony lines onto his face. Also realised after looking at some reference images that Hank's bench seat was actually grey, so came in with the grey. I also noticed after looking at my reference images that I'd completely forgotten to put the grey line along the bottom of the truck. So I went in and painted over all of that lovely weathering with a nice fresh shiny coat of grey. Don't worry, I'll go back in and touch up those bits that I missed. It's always annoying when you miss stuff like this, but you know, just suck it up and do it really. I waited for the paint to be, you know, semi-dry before I put the black wash on. I love to say that, you know, there was a reason for that other than being impatient, but I was just impatient. But as it happened, it gave quite a nice effect, pulling some of the paint off. And the same goes for the interior. Just whacked a black wash on there while it was semi-dry. And again, when I came back in to dab all of this off, it pulled away some of the paint quite nicely and made the interior look nice and rough and ready, which is what I was going to be going for anyway. I just thought I was going to have to paint over it, but hey, there you go. Black wash over wet paint and you get nice Mad Max vibes. So I figured I would test fit Hank again, and yeah, he still doesn't fit. Way too tall, can't stand him upright, and his hands are miles off the dashboard. So this is why we do test fits rather than just trying to go in and half-arse it, really. He looks happy though. He looks happy.
Yes, all right.
I decided to take a break from test fitting and trying to get Hank to fit, and I went in and whitewashed a few of the panels, mostly the door and the roof. The theory behind this was I wanted it to look a bit sunburnt, a bit faded, but in all honesty, really didn't like the effect it gave, so I kind of tried to get as much of it off as I could. And you'll see when I go back over with a few different black wash passes, I get rid of most of this anyway, so you don't know until you try, and this was a bit of a mistake, but hey ho, live and learn. So I needed a shot on Hank, and yeah, good old trusty Leatherman. Now it's probably worth mentioning at this point, please be careful, don't do as I do. I am an idiot. Please don't use knives unless you're competent, or me. But it worked. He fits. Also found this in the box that I didn't realise I had. This came with the Datsun, nice little roll bar for the back here. And I figured some of the sprues might work to hold the tracks together. I did actually plan to build a full underbody, but I was starting to run out of time, and this seemed like a good way to do it. Always keep your sprues, they work. And there we go, just fitting the roll bar. Now I figured Hank would have used his better judgment for the tank tracks and got rid of the steering wheel and had controls for them. So I repurposed the Datsun gear stick and handbrake. Or e-brake if you're American, possibly, I don't know. Handbrake here in the UK, so there you go. He looks happy. And there you go, there's some of the details that I painted in to give him a bit more of a cartoony look on the face. Now, I kind of wanted to add some sort of details with metalwork and things like that, and I've found that the Amazon boxes in particular give a really good corrugated steel size for 1/24th and 1/25th scale models, so there you go. And if you just tear it up, it gives you a perforated edge, so it looks like it's been, you know, gathered off the scrap pile. And we're just going to go in and paint it with some more pearl silver, and then I wanted to tie in some of the Strickland propane colours, so I got a bit of that royal blue in there to maybe make it look like Hank had nicked one of the signs, to patch up the truck with. And of course our good friend burnt umber here. Oh, look at that rust. Perfect. Came in with a bit of black wash, was a little bit nervous about it, didn't know if it was going to soak into the cardboard. Turns out it was alright, just dabbed it off quickly. Didn't really do much for it, but yeah, it added something. Nice dollop of 10-year-old glue and just clag it on there. And you know, when in Rome, do a few more. Here's one I prepared earlier. And let's see whether that looks right. Nope. Tank tracks were painted in very much the same way, a lot of burnt umber, a bit of burnt sienna, just to give the rust vibes. You can kind of see that whitewash on the door and the roof there, it doesn't look very good. Now I printed out some Strickland Pro-Painiac flags and some ratchet straps here, designed them in Photoshop and just whacked them out on the Canon. If you're going to cut stuff out with a scalpel, just let the blade do the work, don't go pressing on it, and do multiple passes and it just cuts through nicely. It's a little tip I picked up off Adam Savage's videos. Cheers Adam, works really well. Now this is one of those little ratchet straps I was talking about. I wasn't really sure whether it was going to work or not, but I figured I would give them a try. Because, you know, details. Shake your head, man. Now that's how I should have glued them down. But instead, I figured, you know, let's just glue the ratchet strap to all of them, because why not make life hard for yourself, Martin? Thanks, Martin. It was just a really special moment for me. But it kind of worked. Kinda. I glued the ratchet on there separately and then just tickled the tank. And trying to glue them all down in one while holding them together obviously was very easy and totally didn't take about 20 minutes of frustration. Tank track time! Now, the easy way to do this would have been to lay one tank track on its side, glue the support in, put the pickup truck over it and then glue the other one on. I decided to do it the right way and make life hard for myself and slide everything through. I mean, they kind of fit through the wishbone quite well, so like it was made to measure really. There we go. I didn't even measure those tank tracks, by the way, I just 3D printed them out on a wing and a prayer. But it worked. There you go. Had some old shotgun shell lying around because obviously, as you do, decided that if I cut it up really easily, totally didn't take loads of effort, I thought it might look good as like a smaller corrugated steel side panel. I was getting a little bit wary of how much you could see into the interior. Now going back to the Warhammer kit, I figured we'd have a look at fitting some of these bits as flamethrowers, because the whole point of having those propane tanks in the back was to have some clean, efficient burning flamethrowers and to feed the turbo system in the engine. Again, original idea was going to be cut a hole in the hood and have massive supercharged V8 sticking through, but I figured everybody might do that, so opted against it. And I'm just painting some more of these bits that I think I might end up using, and I'm using a darker pearl grey for this, just to get a bit of contrast. I reused the steering arm here for a flagpole. Yeah, I think you can see where this is going. I printed the flags out on sticker paper just to make my life a little bit easier when I was doing this. And then if you scrumple it up, just gives it a little bit more of a realistic look. I don't know whether it comes across in the video, but I did also cross out the propane to spell pro-pain. You know, details. Now then, this is where I really wish I'd stopped with the weathering. I got this weathering paste from Kent Models again, and it is really great stuff. Don't get us wrong, it goes on kind of like diarrhea, but it dries like dry mud, which is all very well and nice, but I didn't really test it before I started slapping it on here, so yeah, I just started whacking it everywhere, and I didn't know when to stop, so I just covered everything. And you know, one side is covered in diarrhea, you might as well do the other, make it match. So yeah, when it's drying, it's looking a bit more like dry mud. It looks like the truck's been through. Oh, yep, hello, Enderman. So yeah, don't worry about that. We're gonna sort the diarrhea stains out later. Now I spent a lot of time working with this thick wire casing, actually a lot of time, and it just wouldn't glue to anything. I should have probably used like an epoxy glue or something, but I opted to go for some thinner wire casing and just kind of limit the amount that I was originally going to do. I was going to have all of the propane tanks feeding the turbo system and the flamethrowers, but I opted just for one propane tank because I started to run out of time. Now I decided to use the black wash again to water down some of that lovely diarrhea that we have on there, and then when I came in with the rag, it enabled me to sort of wipe it off and thin it out a bit. So I was reasonably happy with the end result of the black wash pass on this. It just helped to break up everything a bit, but it did feel a little bit too heavily weathered. And when I say too heavily weathered, really too heavily weathered. Came in with the pearl silver again, just to add some highlights. Obviously, you know, putting the heavy weathering on before kind of got rid of a lot of it, so it's good to go back in and do quite a heavy pass just to make everything look metallic again. And getting the edge of the tracks and stuff like that just made it look like it's maybe been driven out of the mud and it's cleaned itself off a bit. It's all just about adding a little bit of backstory to make it feel like it's actually got some character there. And again, just coming in to add some final weathering touches here with some black acrylic and just adding some sort of stain patterns and some fake shadows in there just to really help the details pop. And again, going under some of the bullet holes with that, with the same logic in mind. And same on the front here. I wanted it to kind of look like it had an exhaust leak or an oil leak on the front there, spitting out of the hood scoop. And then just coming in test fitting. I really couldn't make my mind up on this, so let us know in the comments below what you think I should have done with this. I ended up kind of just going for the spikes because I felt it was a little bit too heavy with the snowplow on the front, but I kept the snowplow anyway and I just lobbed it in the back bed so that it was kind of like an add-on. Also put the spotlight on top because I realised that we actually had no lights. Just using a bit of welding wire here curled around the end of a paintbrush to add some final details, and then took it back off because I realised that I wanted to paint some blood on here because Hank is a badass. He mows down everything in his way.
Exactly.
Again, if I'd had more time, I did plan on 3D printing some heads out to put on the spikes, but yeah, ran out of time. I wanted the flamethrowers to look burnt, kind of like that burnt titanium look that you get. So I just went in with some blue, red and yellow washes and then sort of did some black details just to enhance them a bit. Bit of burnt sienna on the hose work there just to, you know, mix it up a bit. Now this is candle glaze. It's an acrylic based product that dries in a really clear gloss, and it looks great for adding some general sort of water patterns and stuff like that onto your builds. If you spatter it with your brush, you get some like raindrop effects. It's a really versatile product. I strongly recommend people get it. It's awesome. Alright folks, I really enjoyed building that. Let's have a look at the finished product. And for those wondering, I actually got 3rd place, which ain't bad for my first ever scale model build off. I used to just build stuff as a silent hobby because, yeah, I just never told people about it. Enjoy! See you next time.